I don't like to discuss any form of politics on this channel, but every once in a while I like to make an exception to this rule. And since 2020 is an election year in the US, I thought it would be fun to take a look at all of the times YouTubers decided to get political, with the end result ending up in absolute disaster. Before we start, I want to lay out some ground rules. First of all, they obviously have to be YouTubers, so as much as I would like to put someone like Alex Hirsch in this video, I cannot do that because he is not a YouTuber. But don't you worry, Alex, you'll get your day eventually, buddy, I can promise you that. Number two, the YouTubers in question are not political. So if you're expecting YouTubers like Armored Skeptic, Sargon of Akkad, The Young Turks, and Paul Joseph Watson to be in this video, then you will be sorely disappointed. This video is strictly about YouTubers that aren't known for being political, deciding to get political for some asinine reason that I'll never understand. And finally, third of all, it doesn't matter whether or not these particular incidents happened in a video, or on Twitter, or on a Twitch stream, or wherever else. If they're a YouTuber that is not known for being political, but decided to get political, then they will be in this video. So with all that being said, let's jump straight into the fray. This is when going political goes wrong. All the way back in 2016, Donald Trump shocked the world by becoming President of the United States. This was a hugely popular outcome that didn't cause any controversy or meltdowns. After all, how could anyone be upset that one of the most divisive and controversial politicians in American history became president?
Donald J. Trump is now President of the United States. President Obama
What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald.
And so if you want to attack me for being overly emotional or for passionately, defending those who are defenseless, then go ahead, you can attack me all you want. But am I saying that I'm better than you? I guess I'm going a little further than you are. Yeah, I'm fucking better than you, okay? Much better than you. You are garbage.
Angry Joe was one of the many individuals that was unhappy that Trump became president and decided to express his distaste by spitting out one of the spiciest hot takes in recent memory.
We're going to rebuild our infrastructure. Which will become rebuild our infrastructure, which will become.
That is the type of people that supported Trump. If you voted for Trump, these are your fellow constituents. These are the type of people that voted. The angry, pissed off white men. The angry, pissed off people in general who have been misled by Trump himself, who've been stoking the hatred. Obama wasn't born in the United States. Obama's a Muslim, as if that's a bad thing. Obama did this. Obama's doing that. Even though Obama inherited one of the worst economies ever and is slowly building jobs. Oh, it's not good enough. It's not meeting this particular percentage and that particular percentage. This is who is so motivated to have Trump jump out in front and win this election. So, there it is. This is America.
I'm not sure if he said kill Obama or repeal Obama as in Obamacare, because he shouts it out so quickly that it's hard to make out what he's actually saying. But for the purpose of this video, let's assume he said kill Obama. As you all just heard, Joe outright states that the people that voted for Trump all the way back in 2016 were angry and pissed off white people, which is silly at best and disingenuous at worst, because he makes a very ridiculous generalization based on one person who may or may not have shouted kill Obama. I don't know about you guys, but blatantly insulting a group of people by essentially saying that they are racist because they chose to vote for a political candidate you didn't like is profoundly stupid. Yes, I am well aware of the fact that he never actually used the word racist in this little rant, but it was definitely implied when you consider the angry and pissed off white people comment he made earlier, and the fact that he talked about some Trump supporters going after Obama because he was a Muslim and a bunch of other things. Just because there were some Trump supporters that went after Obama because of his race, and just because there was one person that allegedly shouted "Kill Obama," does not mean that it is representative of Trump supporters as a whole, and it certainly doesn't mean that they all think alike or that they have the same values and beliefs. But according to Angry Joe's flawed logic, a few individuals being degenerate malcontents that support Trump means that everyone that supported Trump is a degenerate malcontent because Trump supporters are all the same and everyone knows it. What makes this rant even worse is the fact that Joe had the audacity to make this gem of a comment.
You can, refute me if you want, but I guarantee you the majority of people that voted for Trump are uneducated. I know, that's like, oh, Joe, that's fucked up to say. No, that's actually the fact. And if you want to show me proof otherwise, you won't find it. I guarantee you, the uneducated voted for Trump. And in today's America, the word intellectual is a bad thing. And this is what it results in.
Which will become...
I've heard people call Trump supporters many things, but I have never heard anyone say that Trump supporters were uneducated and that it was a fact, because it's literally not a fact. It's an opinion. Angry Joe is entitled to express his opinion, but he shouldn't try to pass them off as facts, because you can't turn opinions into facts, and you can't turn facts into opinions, because it doesn't work like that. This comment, in my opinion, is part of the reason why some people think that entertainers shouldn't be talking about politics, because sometimes they either make it very clear that they have no idea what they are talking about, or they make incredibly dumb statements that they can't back up, which ends up pissing everybody off. From an optics point of view, Joe didn't come off looking particularly great because he called a group of people uneducated because they chose to vote for a political candidate he didn't like, which, to be honest, is downright sad. If you're wondering why Angry Joe didn't receive any backlash for this dumpster fire of a video, it's because he never actually uploaded it to his YouTube channel. I don't know if this video was a clip from a Twitch stream that he did, or if it was uploaded to a no-name video site where no one would ever find it. But I do know that this video exists and that someone was gracious enough to find it and upload it to YouTube. If Quentin Reviews and Jello Apocalypse are anything to go by, Joe would have probably been crucified because I cannot imagine the response would have been positive due to all of the things Joe said in this video that I previously highlighted. The point I'm trying to make here is that there is nothing inherently wrong with expressing a political opinion, but when it gets to the point that you're attacking people because they have a differing political opinion, you should seriously start reevaluating your priorities in life, or to be more technically accurate, I'm not criticizing Angry Joe for having a political opinion, I'm criticizing him for how he chose to express it, because at the end of the day, just because you can say something doesn't mean you always should. On November 2nd, 2018, Quentin Reviews uploaded a review of the YouTube Red movie The Thinnin' 2. For the most part, the review consisted of Quentin explaining why he personally thought the movie was bad, and then near the end of the review, Quentin thought it would be a good time to say this.
So, here's the thing. I fucking hate Trump. He embarrasses me every day, he makes us all look like backwards idiots, and frankly, the fact that he got elected means that we probably are all backwards idiots. He's ruining people's lives. He's making horrible racist decisions, which are probably going to have long-lasting repercussions long after he's out of office. Overall, I would be a much happier person if we found a way to deport him from every position of power that he has ever had. But on that note, I feel like if this is a movie about Trump, they're doing a bad job. You get the feeling this was written, like, late November 2016. It's a political movie written in 2016 about the 2016 elections before Trump was sworn into office, which, because of production and because of all this drama surrounding the Suicide Forest, got pushed back to almost the end of 2018. We no longer have any use for this. It is outdated, it is unnuanced, and it's frankly embarrassing that they decided to release this.
To say that this rant was awkward, out of place, and quite frankly unnecessary would be an understatement. There was literally no reason for Quentin to mention how much he hated Donald Trump in a review that had absolutely nothing to do with him. What makes this rant even worse is the incredibly flimsy explanation he gives for proclaiming that he fucking hates Trump by saying that if the movie was about him then they did a bad job. But that's just an assumption with no basis in reality, and is so forced and contrived that it doesn't even make any sense. If the review was a piece of media about Donald Trump, like The Apprentice, then this rant would have made a little more sense, but as far as I can tell, the movie has nothing to do with Donald Trump. But for some reason, Quentin had to go out of his way to let everyone know how much he hated Trump, because when you hate a particular politician, everyone just has to know about it for some reason. A month after this review was uploaded, Quentin was brought on to the State of the YouTube podcast, where he gave a very interesting explanation for his anti-Trump stance near the end of his Thinning in 2 review.
Points are missing. I guess I'm just saying that, to conclude here, putting politics into everything. I didn't bring this up earlier, but just using it as an example, in your Thinning review, you just go on a 2-minute rant about Donald Trump for seemingly no reason.
Let me explain to this. Okay, for one, the reason I mentioned Donald Trump in that review is because I was making fun of the movie for being a bad Trump film. And then, I mean, my audience has tended to want me to be honest with them. And I didn't want people thinking that I was a Trump supporter, so I was just like, I'll just say, you know, hey guys, so I don't like Trump. And then I just figured people like it when I explain my positions. And so I went on like literally a 40-second thing where I just explained my position on Trump. And like again, like I wouldn't do that again. I mean, I've listened to people. People have said, "Hey, we don't want you to do that," and I said, "All right." But I mean, I think like that was just a part of the review. I mean, if you go back to like my Fairly Odd Parents review, it's much worse. I make Trump jokes literally like every other minute.
Worrying about people thinking you were a Trump supporter was a rather silly thing to be worried about because your political opinions are not relevant to the kind of content you make. You do deep dives on YouTubers and internet culture, and you review movies and TV shows. Both of these things are so far away from politics it's not even funny. If your channel was created from the ground up to be a political channel, then letting your audience know that you were not a Trump supporter would have made sense. But that's not what your channel is, so the mentioning of your political views was awkward and out of place in a review about a movie starring Logan Paul. I don't doubt that your audience wanted you to be more honest with them, but I don't think that this was the kind of honest that they wanted. Your audience didn't care about your political views, and I'm pretty sure they didn't want to know what your political views were. That was something you decided to force upon them under the guise of honesty. What I'm basically saying here is that nobody gave a shit about your politics other than you. What makes this rant even more pointless is the fact that Trump was recently voted out of office and will be replaced by Joe Biden, so here's the thing, I fucking hate Trump will age about as well as milk. And that's honestly a shame because the review, for the most part, is pretty good, but the only thing people will remember about it is the fact that Quentin decided to take a stance against Donald Trump that nobody wanted and nobody asked for, and it ultimately resulted in Quentin receiving tons of deserved backlash. This entire fiasco was one of the biggest low points of Quentin's YouTube career, and it was a moment that everybody, including Quentin himself, would like to forget. At least he can take solace in the fact that he was the only person in November 2018 to fall flat on their face by pointlessly inserting politics into their videos. Nobody else was dumb enough to repeat the exact same fuck-up in a Jello apocalypse manner, because we all know that if you decided to vote for Donald Trump back in 2016, you are a subhuman piece of trash, and that is a 100% confirmed fact. Jello Apocalypse's vote has some of the most egregious manipulation tactics I have ever seen. In the first half of the video, Jello portrays himself as a neutral individual that's simply telling people to go out and vote, and that it's super important. He also says that people shouldn't vote for a color or a party, and that they should vote for the people that will help other people. These are sentiments that most people can get behind, and to be perfectly honest, if Jello had stopped at the 1 minute and 10-second mark, this would have been a perfectly fine video, because there's nothing inherently wrong with telling people to go out and vote, regardless of who the candidates are. Unfortunately for all of us, Jello decided to keep going, and it's at this point that the video completely falls apart.
If you voted for the current administration because you genuinely thought they would really help America, that's fine. That's what you should always do. Your vote and your voice matter. But don't be afraid to look at our country now and reconsider. There's nothing wrong with having backed the wrong horse. There is something wrong with seeing that horse running towards a cliff and refusing to get off just because it's your horse. Vote. Vote as though children are being separated from their parents at the border. Vote as though it's your child being separated from you. Vote like trans people are being erased from the census and being told they do not exist. Vote like a black man was hanged from a tree for protesting police violence, and police killing black men just for being black. Vote like your president is a nationalist, because he is. Vote like the term alt-right is now a household term for fascism and hate, because it is. Vote like Jewish people are being gunned down in a synagogue like it's 1939, because they are. Vote like this is the world we live in, because it is. And if now isn't the time to get political, then it never will be. Vote like you love humans. Vote like you love all humans, and you believe that no one should be deported, or beaten, or killed because of how they look, or where they were born, or who they love, or who they are. Vote like you're a human. Vote because you love America. Because you know it's broken, and you need to be the one to repair it again. Because if you don't, nobody else will. Vote.
Oh, hell no! Some of you guys probably know that I made a Young Hero Rants episode about this very video back in 2018, where I tore Jello apart for his blatant emotional manipulation, but there was one thing I didn't notice when I made that rant, and that was his subliminal messaging, which was about as subtle as a punch to the face. Anything that Jello perceives to be a problem is highlighted in blue, and the issues he perceives to be bad due to the Trump administration is highlighted in red. My issue isn't the fact that he called out issues like illegal immigration, mass murder, a black man getting hanged, the alt-right spreading hate, and transgenders being wiped from the US Census. My issue is that he used these very serious issues to emotionally manipulate his audience into voting for someone on the left side of the political spectrum instead of the Trump administration, which was on the right side of the political spectrum. Jello tries to give everyone the impression that he's supportive of human rights and wants people to vote to ensure that those human rights would be upheld, but it wasn't genuine in the slightest because he used those human rights issues to push his own agenda. It's incredibly hypocritical to say that people shouldn't vote for a party or color, and then use the Pittsburgh Jewish synagogue shooting and children who got taken away from their parents who were trying to immigrate illegally to the US because their native countries were absolute shitholes as a way of trying to manipulate people into voting for one side over the other. If you're going to be neutral, then be neutral, but if you're going to make a political video where you are obviously biased towards a particular side, then be honest about it from the jump so that the audience doesn't have an Uno reverse card pulled on them halfway through the video. Vote isn't a YouTube video. It's an emotionally manipulative political ad disguised as a YouTube video, and it should have never been made in the first place. This video was so much of an embarrassment that Jello ended up deleting it a few days after he had uploaded it. He did this after smugly boasting that he had only lost a minimal amount of his subscriber base because of this fiasco, so you might assume that he was justifying the video's existence, and as such, it would remain up on his channel. But in the end, the backlash became too severe and he ended up deleting it altogether. Unfortunately for him, once you upload something on the internet, it stays there forever, which is why the YouTuber Cheeseman re-uploaded it for everyone to see, and he deserves major kudos for doing so, because this video is one of the greatest pieces of unintentional comedy YouTube has ever seen, and it finally provided an answer to the question of, what if The Onion made a completely unironic political ad, and then uploaded it to YouTube for everyone to see? Lawrence Sonntag was part of the original Inside Gaming team at Machinima. In 2015, he and several other members from the original Inside Gaming creative team formed Funhouse at Rooster Teeth. He was then promoted to editor-in-chief of a newly revived Inside Gaming, which had been transferred to Rooster Teeth after Machinima had been shuttered. On December 17, 2019, Lawrence announced that he was leaving Rooster Teeth to pursue other interests, aka his very own YouTube channel. I'm now going to explain how Lawrence is relevant to a video about YouTubers dropping the ball when it comes to politics. On September 30th, 2020, Donald Trump had a presidential debate against Joe Biden, and during that debate, Trump was asked if he would condemn the white supremacist group Proud Boys, who had become notorious for instigating violence at protest rallies. Trump responds to this question by saying something very odd.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm
prepared
to do
specifically
that, but
do it? Well, go ahead, sir.
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
Then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it. Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
who would you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys. Stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what. Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem.
That's no good.
A lot of people lost their shit over this, and rightfully so, because you would expect a person that's in a tremendous position of power to denounce white supremacy, which should be the easiest thing in the world to do, but for some reason Trump chose not to do that, and because he didn't do that, people were understandably outraged. I know this for a fact because our good old pal Lawrence was one of them. Just to be super clear, if you support Trump or in any way try to dismiss what he said last night, I want nothing to do with you. I revoke your permission to enjoy anything I've ever done or will ever do.
No! No!
I don't disagree with Lawrence because he called out Trump for failing to denounce white supremacy. I disagree with him because he chose to insult his audience, which is something you should never do, especially when it involves such a divisive topic like politics. While I believe his heart was in the right place, he completely dropped the ball when he decided to attack his audience. The fact that Lawrence had the audacity to say that he would revoke the permission of anyone who liked his content if they supported Trump is absolutely asinine to me. I don't know if anyone has told him this, but content creators don't get to decide who likes their content, and they certainly don't get to decide who likes their content based on their political beliefs. The job of a content creator is to make content about topics they are interested in, and then once they upload it, it's up to the viewing audience to decide whether or not they actually enjoy it. If someone likes your content in spite of you criticizing someone they support politically, that is not something you can dictate, and you certainly can't revoke permission because you don't have to have permission in order to like a particular piece of content. But for some reason that I'll never understand, Lawrence somehow got it into his head that you can dictate the people that get to like your content in the same way you can choose a difficulty setting in a video game. I don't understand the point of dividing your audience like this. You can criticize Trump or any politician for that matter without unnecessarily drawing lines in the sand of your audience and saying you're either with me or against me. And make no mistake about it, Lawrence did this by saying that he would revoke his audience's right to like his content if they supported Trump, or if they agreed with him failing to denounce white supremacy. I would ask Lawrence the question of who the hell does he think he is, but that would be pointless because it's obvious who he thinks he is. He thinks he is some sort of magical content-liking fairy that can decide who gets to like his content based on political beliefs. If we were living in an alternate universe where Lawrence was in charge of YouTube, the rating system would be based on beliefs, aka if you hit like on a video and agreed with the personal beliefs of the content creator, you got to keep watching the video. But if you disagreed and hit the dislike button, you could no longer watch the video and you would be blocked by the content creator. I sincerely hope nobody from YouTube is watching this video so they can take notes and implement the feature that I just made up for the purposes of a joke, because if they did that, they would just fuck up the site even further. The moral of the story here is that it's completely okay to call out a politician when they say or do something stupid, but don't attack your audience while doing so, because the clout you'll receive for being woke will last about as long as Target Canada did. Should entertainment channels get political? If you want my honest opinion, I don't think that they should. Politics are inherently divisive, and no matter what stance you take, you're going to alienate your audience to some degree, especially if your attitude towards them is dismissive purely because they have differing beliefs than you. Is it really worth alienating your audience to make a political statement when your channel isn't known for being political? I personally don't think it is, because at the end of the day, most people come to YouTube for the purposes of entertainment and escapism. They don't come to YouTube to be beaten over the head with politics because the real world is already overly saturated with politics on a daily basis. Non-political channels that pointlessly insert politics where it doesn't belong are incredibly annoying, and most of the time the politics they're discussing are either irrelevant to the video at hand, or they are completely dismissive towards people that don't think the same way that they do. It also doesn't help that I personally haven't been able to find an entertainment channel that handles the topic of politics in a way that doesn't piss everybody off, which is baffling to me, because the most obvious solution to this problem is to illustrate the importance of politics in our society without resorting to using emotionally manipulative tactics to try and get the audience to agree with whatever agenda you're trying to push. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is that a non-political channel can make a good political video if they are reasonable and can respect the other side's point of view, but as long as we live in a world where we have an us versus them mentality, we are going to see cringeworthy political statements from YouTubers that aren't known for politics for years to come. So don't be so surprised when you see me make When Going Political Goes Wrong Part 2 Electric Boogaloo Super Extra Turbo Edition in the not too distant future, because talking about dumpster fires is the only thing that gives my life any meaning and compels me to get out of bed in the morning.